So I feel like I'm in the minority a little bit in that I would fire up my Kamado Joe for a 1.5-minute cook.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people are like, oh, it's a waste of charcoal. It's not really, right? I get to be outside, I'm hanging out, I'm lighting the grill, I'm doing my thing. But if you cannot find it in yourself to get out there to do a 1.5-minute cook, a quick fire, which is big, bold, and beautiful. We're doing some tuna today. Think about it like this. Think about if you had just done a brisket or a pork butt or some ribs. You know, you fire up the grill, you spent several hours cooking something, and then you took it off and it had to rest, all right? And then you went ahead and cranked up the grill, and now you're at searing temperature and you can do an appetizer, okay? I'm trying to reason through this. You can do
I'm following the logic.
Bro, it's brilliant. So everything's resting for, you know, a pork butt. Maybe it's 45 minutes or so. You've got the heat already there. We got very simple ingredients, big bold flavors. People are about to show up. Let's do a quick fire appetizer recipe. Introducing tuna tataki. Let's get into the action. When I say getting it cranking, I mean getting it cranking. And you can see, look at this needle is just traveling up. We're at 300 C right now. Okay, so almost 600 degrees Fahrenheit. And, oh, that's a thing of beauty, the cast iron griddle. If I flip this over, it would have rivets on there. It's like a 2-for-1 accessory, different sear signatures. I love the flat top, okay? I banked all the charcoal that was in there to the right. I opened up the draft door. We got max airflow going. Getting all fired up about this thing. And we can leave this open because all we need is that big screaming hot sear surface. Now we will close that lid to lock in some of that natural lump charcoal flavor, but let's start taking a look at our tuna. Now you can see these white lines here, this sinew that goes through, and that was where the chain was located. So for this particular dish, I like to square it off a little bit and then kind of stay away from a little bit of that because it's a very tender slice and bite. So I'm gonna come right here and cut a nice chunk. Oh yeah. And that is a beautiful piece. Okay, I'm gonna save this for entrees for later on, but this is the piece that we'll be dealing with today. Okay, so this is a really nice piece of fresh tuna. If you don't think you can get tuna where you are in the world right now or in the United States, I know we're watching from all around the world, but I ordered this from Fulton Fish Market and it was here next day, so pretty awesome. All right, other ingredients: orange, lemon, and lime. I only want the zest. Now, when we talk about zesting things, we're gonna use, this is not a zester, by the way, this is a microplane, okay? Not a zester, but a microplane. We're gonna go and look how it just peels the exterior. Now, we don't wanna go any deeper than that. You start getting into that white pithy part and it gets bitter. So I wanna get all the zest from the lemon, limes, and oranges. So let's go ahead and do that. You could just do orange, you could just do lime, you could just do lemon, but the three of them put together in a big bold sear produce this weird, the best way I can say it, I'm embarrassed to say it, this like Fruit Loop kind of smell, you know? You know, the three are completely different. Think about limeade versus lemonade versus orange juice, right? And then we're just talking about the zest, which is even more compoundedly different. So we've got a lot of citrus. Yeah, sometimes I do this during the winter to pull me out of the winter blues. Like I need a little tropical in my life and I don't want to go too tropical, but I can always get a lemon, lime, and orange. The combo is incredible when you put it against that big, bold heat. The essential oils come out and they just transport you. Orange, lemon, lime. Now, oftentimes I'll put, you know, if I have a smaller lemon, I'll do 1 orange, 2 lemons, 2 limes. But this amount of zest will go a long way, okay? And so now we're just gonna mix it up a little bit.
It smells amazing.
Yeah, the oils, the essential oils are in the air. That's beautiful. Now we've got this beautiful little bed. And remember, we got our gorgeous piece of tuna. I'm gonna take some Lane's Barbecue blackening seasoning and just barely, ever so gently season each side. A little goes a long way here. Beauty. And then we'll start packing on. No oil at this point. Just start.
Wow.
Yeah. Just start packing on that fresh. Oh yeah. All right. Now we. And look at that. It's almost like fireworks, right? Kind of cool. And then on this side as well. and this recipe is 95% done. I mean, but you know, I did this in Australia a couple weeks ago, home run. Did it in Norway with salmon, home run. So you can substitute. You want a fatty fish like this, but look. All right, so look at that, gorge. Now let's get a little oil on this cast iron griddle. You could be using a soapstone as well if you like. Ooh, baby, that is hot.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, hot, hot. We're gonna see some flames, I know it. Lay it away from you. You never lay it toward you, it'll splash you. There's that flame. And everybody count with me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's all you need, all right? And again, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. That's it, team. Dunzo. Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, and anybody who's like, oh, cross-contamination, this freaking sashimi grade tuna, okay? So we're good. We're good, all right? Now I'm going to take a little bit of this sweet chili, Thai sweet chili, right down the middle. A little jam schmear. And now we just start slicing nice little thin pieces. And I put a little positive pressure here and here, and just a little slice.
Oh, beauty.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, you don't want to see it. I mean, that is just blister sear to impart flavor and instill crust, just to get that citrus to hang in there. Now, if you're not comfortable with tuna being this I almost said rare, raw, you know, go ahead and leave it on there for a little bit extra, you know? It's your recipe. Listen, a recipe is just a guideline. But I wouldn't do it any other way than this. Time to plate, okay? I'm gonna take a little bit of that sweet chili and just draw a line right down the center. Doesn't have to be pretty, we're gonna cover it up. And now, we're gonna take our delicious pieces of tuna, right? And just, you could spread them out and have 6 pieces there, or you could do, you know, more and shingle them like this if you like. And I'm gonna go for the shingle just so we can get all these pieces on here. But how elegant would it look if we just had 6 pieces and then maybe a little serrano, very thin serrano piece. And why wouldn't you fire up your grill for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes for a minute and a half cook? Like, are you kidding me? Miss out on this? So we're almost there. At this point, we're just gonna work on a little garnish. And I enjoy textural contrasts, and we all do. What I mean is, like, a sea of same is kind of boring, right? So if it's mushy on mushy, like a I don't know, a pork tenderloin with sweet potato, like, I need some crunch in my life, yeah? So here we've got wasabi peas.
Get out of here.
Wasabi peas. And I know what this tastes like because my hands have been on it. I've been smelling it. I've made it 100 times. This is a dish. And you can do so much more with this too, right? You could make a wasabi aioli and just kind of right? Remember, maybe some microgreens in the corner, or some, you know, if you want to continue with the Asian theme, perhaps you do one of those little seaweed salads underneath or as a garnish. So less is more for this particular dish. But there's a lot going on here. It was very simple, but the blackening's bringing something. The crunch of the wasabi peas bringing it. The tuna is bringing it. Like, a lot is going on here in this very simple dish. Simple things done perfectly win every time. Every time. that is. You know, the more you cook tuna, the more the oils come out in it, and the fishier it gets, right? So if you just blister sear it, it's almost beefy. You know what I mean? It like takes on this just meaty essence. It's not a fish at all. So if anybody's like, oh, that's too rare, I hear you, but try it. Like, if you were here with me right now trying this, you'd be loving it as much as I am, okay? And plus, we're getting 100% of the nutritional value of it because we're not cooking it out and killing the nutrients. This is just fabulous. Fabulous dish. Easy peasy, simple, Don't be intimidated. High heat. And again, if you're not into firing up that grill for a 45-second cook or minute and a half cook, use it on the tail end of something, and then do your appetizer while something's resting. So I think it's a great idea. Folks, do all the things. You know, here's where we got to close it out and talk about it. I'm no good at this. Hit the notification button, hit the like button. Do leave us a comment. Again, I love reading those comments and responding back. And if I can be a culinary resource to you, please let me know. And as always, from my backyard to yours, cheers and happy grilling.